Hi everyone, Ravi this side. Welcome to Engineering Adda. Today in this video, we are going to cover the load balancing concept, what it is, and how we can implement it out in our application. This is what we are going to discuss today in this video. So this is the agenda of today's video. Let's get started. Now, what I will do, I will explain you more about the load balancing, what it is, its merit and demerits, and then finally we are going to create a Spring Boot application, and there I will try to show you how you can achieve this concept through the practical implementation. Okay, we are not going to create the gateway or Spring Cloud. We are not going to use that to achieve this load balancing. Here we are only going to clear the load balancing concept through some practical implementation. So let's get started, and I will go to the next slide to discuss more about the load balancing. So what is load balancing? Load balancing is the process of distributing incoming network traffic or computational workload across multiple servers or instances to ensure no single server bears too much demand. So here the statement is very much clear that load balancing is the process of distributing the incoming network requests. So let's say you have developed one application and your application is available across multiple servers, or you have multiple instances of your application running. Okay, now when the user going to access your application, then the user request will come to the multiple servers. We have to make sure that the load to these servers are distributed properly. No single server bears too much demand. Okay, that is what load balancing is. It is a process of distributing incoming network traffic, which you can say user request or computational workload across multiple servers or instances to ensure no single server bear too much demand. It helps maintain application availability, reliability, and responsiveness. Okay, so when you are going to make your application load balance, then it will help your application to be highly available, to be reliable and responsive. Okay, so this is what load balancing is. There are three type of load balancing you can do: hardware based, software based, and cloud based. Here we are going to see how we can do it in the software. Now I'll go to the next slide to discuss merit of load balancing. So when you are going to make your application load balance, then it will improve the performance of application. It will make your application highly available. You can also scale your application, and it will make your application fault tolerance, and there would be efficient resource utilization inside your application. Okay, now go to the next slide to discuss demerit of load balancing. So the first thing is complexity. So doing the load balancing is complex system, so the complexity of your application will be increased a bit. The cost for the load balancing will be increased. Now latency will be increased. You have to maintain your application, so maintenance charge will be there, and there would be a single point of failure. So these are the demerits of it. Now what I will do, I will come out of it and I will try to create one Spring Boot application, and then I will show you this concept. So what we are going to do is, let me brief you about that. So here we are not going to use the Spring Cloud Gateway and all those things. We are just going to understand this load balancing concept. Okay, so what we are going to do is, we are going to create a main application. Okay, and we have another application, you can say third party application. Main application is going to call the third party application, and then the request coming from the main application will go to the third party application. Third party application would be available across 3 or 4 instances, or you can say 3 or 4 server of the third party application will be available. Now we have to make sure that the request coming from the main application is evenly distributed to the third party application. So we are going to choose the round robin you can say round robin way to distribute our request which is coming from the main application to the third party application. So this is what we are going to do. Now I will go to the IntelliJ, create these two application, and then show you this scenario. So let's get started, and I will come out of it and go to the IntelliJ here. Okay, so just go to this file, new project, and here I'm going to create, let's say, main app load, or you can say load balancing main app. Select Maven here, go next. We need Lombok and the web. Just create this, open it in a new tab, and wait here. It will take few seconds of your time to download all the dependency that you have added and to do the necessary configuration of your system. Once it is done, what you can do, you can start doing the development here. So here we are going to create one controller, and that controller is going to call the third party application, and there would be 3 or 4 you can say 3 instance running of the third party application, and the request which we are going to hit from the main application should be in the round robin fashion, so that the request coming from the main application will be evenly distributed across the third party application. So what I will do, do this thing. So we have our main application ready. Now I'll open the source main, go to the Java. Here I will create one controller. So let's say it is a load balancer controller. Okay, annotate it with the REST controller, and we are good. Now I'm going to create a list of servers. Okay, so these are the servers on which the third party application will be available. So for that only I'm going to create the list of server, private final list of a string, import this list from util. Let's say servers equal to arrays dot as list, and here we are going to add the servers list. Import the arrays here, http localhost, let's say 8081. So these are the servers on which our third party application will be available. So I'm going to list the 3 servers here. Let's say localhost 8082 and localhost 8083. So these are the 3 servers on which our third party application will be available. Now we have the servers list. Create one current index here, private int I'm just going to tell you why we are creating this out. We are going to implement one round robin method here, and we using that round robin you can say scenario, we are going to assign the request from our main application to the third party application servers. So for that only I have created this current index integer. I will show you where we are going to use. Now I'm going to create one API here. So let's say public, let's say response entity. The return type is string. Let's say proxy request. Okay, it is a Git API. So Git mapping here, let's say proxy, you can say test proxy. Okay, now we have to implement the round robin concept here. Okay, to select the servers. So get the current server in the list, and we are going to implement it using round robin. Okay, now we are good. Now just let's say string target server equal to servers dot get current index. Now you can see that we are getting the why we are using this current index. So from the list of servers, we are getting the current index servers as a target server, and then using this target server, we are going to call the third party server, you can say, or application, you can say. Okay, so we have the target server. Now we are going to update the current index with the current index plus 1, and we'll modulo it with the server size. Okay, so that we get the each time we are going to get the things in the round robin. Okay, so we have the current index plus 1. Let me try to modulo it with the size of the server. So percent servers dot size. Okay, so we are good. Now what, let's say we have the server size is 3. So for the first time, the target server will be HTTP localhost 808081. The next time it will be 2, and the third time it would be this third one. Okay, so this is how we are going to assign the current target server. Okay, so this is the round robin fashion. Now we are going to call the third party application here, or you can say third party API here. So for that we are going to use the REST template. Okay, so either what you can do, you can go to this main class, or you can create a configuration class, and then there you have to create the bean of REST template. And I already have showed you so many times how you can create the bean of REST template and how you can use it out to call the third party API. So those things you can also do, but we are going to directly come here and create the object of the REST template here itself and then call it out. So REST template equal to new REST template, and then with the help of REST template, we are going to call the third party app, or you can say third party API. Okay, so REST template dot get for entity, get for object, or the get for entity, anything is fine. So get for entity, here we are going to pass the API that you're going to call. So the target server would be coming up from here, and then we have to provide the target server would be the base URL of your third party API, and then what you have to do is you have to provide the API that you're going to call, the third party application API that you're going to call. So let's say as of now I'm just going to make it as a test. Make sure that with this name only you have to create the third party API, okay, that you're going to call. So for that, let's say test, and then its return type you have to provide. So let's say a string dot class. Okay, it look good. We have the response here. Now what you have to do is you have to return that response from this method. So the return type of this method is response entity string. So make sure you create an object of response here, catch it out in the response variable. Now return the response here. Look good, right? So again, let me tell you what we are doing. We have created one server list, and these are the servers we have. On these servers, the third party API will be up and running, and with the help of round robin, like in the round robin fashion, we are calling the server one by one. Okay, and then we are calling with the help of this target server, we are calling the third party API. Okay, so let's say your third party application is up on the port number 8081, 8082, and 8083. So there are 3 instances of your third party application. Now when you are going to hit this API, it will go to the third party API and call it out with the help of target server. Okay, so first time it will go to this first instance of your third party API, which is up on the port number 8081. Second time it will go to this, and third time it will go to this. Okay, so in round robin it will go. Fourth time it will come up here again. So this is what the load balancing concept we are implementing here. Now I will create the third party application, and then I will try to open or make them up on the these three instances. Okay, so let me try to create one new application. Let's say a new project, load balancing third party app. Select Maven and go next. Select the Lombok and the web here and create it out. Just wait for a few seconds, and then it will help, like it will configure all the things, and then we can start doing the development here. Here we are not going to do much things. Here we are only going to create one test API, and we are going to call that. As you can see, our application is working good. Now we can start doing the development here. So go to the source main Java, and here itself I'm going to create one controller here. Okay, so for that, let me try to create one, let's say test controller. I'm just going to create the package controller dot class test controller, and we are good. Now here let me try to annotate it with the rest controller, and we are going to create one git mapping here. So let's say test public string test, and it is going to show us two things. One is like testing for load balancing, and it will also return us the port on which our request is going. Okay, or you can say the test request is handled by the instance running on the port, something like that. So something like that you can return. So let me try to return something like test request is handled by the instance running on port, and here we have to provide the port number. Okay, so how we can get the port number? So for that we can do one thing. We can use this server.port. So let me try to use @value annotation, and with the help of this we can call the configuration that we are going to do in the application properties file. So just call this server.port. Okay, and we are going to use this. So we are going to create one variable here, let's say string port, and this will return the port on which our application is up and running, and this is what we can pass up here, and it is good. Okay, so what it will do is let's say our this third party API or third party application is up on three different instances, and these three different instances are running on the port number 8081, 8082 and 8083. Now we are going to hit this third party API from our main application, and each time when we are going to hit the third party API from our main application, the request will go to the different instances of the third party API, and the different instances are running on the different ports. So that is why we are providing the port number here as well. So the test request is handled by the instance running on the port number this. So we'll get the clear idea if our load balancing is working fine or not. Okay, so if our request coming from the main application is distributed evenly to all the instances, then that means the load balancing concept is implemented perfectly. So for that only we are logging this, and this is how you can log. Now you have to do the configuration here. So go to the application properties file, and do one configuration here, which is server.port, and make sure your application is by default running on the port number 8080. When we are going to create the jar of it, and when we are going to run the application different instances, we can pass out this server.port, and there itself we can pass out the port on which you want your application to be up and running. Okay, so here we are good. Now go to the pom.xml, and if you'll go to the build, you can create the jar name of your application. So let's say, for simplicity, I'm just going to create the jar name of our application. By default, it will create the jar name with this, but if you are going to provide this final name, and inside the final name you have to provide the name with which you want to create your jar of your application. So here I'm just going to create the jar of my application with the name called app. So with that name, it will create the jar of our application, and then we simply can run it out. So do one thing, just come here to the Maven and go to the Maven clean install. Okay, and just skip the test case here. I think it is, let me try to only run the Maven clean install, and then we'll see. Okay, so this will build our application. Just wait for a few seconds. This is taking some time. You can see the build is success. Now if you'll go to your target folder, here you can find the jar of your application is created with the name app.jar. Okay, now this will with the help of this jar, we are going to run our application on 3 different ports, or we'll try to make our third party application up and running on 3 different instances of it. Okay, so we are good. Now again, let me try to, before going to make this up, let me brief you about this controller that we have created, or sorry, API that we have created. So our API would be, let me try to open it out. So our API look like HTTP localhost 8081 test. Okay, and if you'll go to your main application, here you can see that whatever thing you are calling with the help of REST template is target server and then / test. So your target server would be HTTP localhost 8081 test, or 8082 test, or 8083 test. Okay, so this is like only the port number is being changed, but the API is test, and this is what our third party API is also. Okay, it is test, only the port number is going to change. So this is we are calling, so our application, like the API that we are calling in the main app is perfect, it is correct. And now what we are going to do is we are going to make this third party application up and running on 3 different instances. Okay, so how we can do that? So we have created the jar file for this application. With the help of java-jar command, we can make this up on the we can make this up locally with the different instances, you can say. So here you can see this is the command java-jar, and this is the jar, like this is where our jar is, and then you have to provide the port number on which you want to make your application up and running. So let me open the folder here. So we are inside the main app, and we need to open the third party app. Let me go there where it is. So it should be under this. Go to the project, December. Let me sort by the date. So you can see load balancing third party app. Go inside this, go to the target, and here we have the jar. Now I'm going to open the 3 command prompt here. So let me open the second one and also the third one. And on these 3, we are going to run the application on, like, this will create the 3 different instances of our application. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this command. Let me try to remove this target. So it would be something like java minus jar and this jar. Now this is the additional command that you have to add if you want to make your application running on 3 different instances. Like the port number you have to make the different, right? So copy this out, come up here, just paste it, and it will make your application up and running on the port number 8081. You can see this right here. Similarly, one instance is created. Now the second instance we are going to run on the port number 8082. And similarly, we are going to run the third instance on the port number 8083. Okay. Now 3 different instances of the third party API or third party application is created. Now we are going to hit the API that we have created in our main app, okay, which internally calling the third party API. Now just run this application and just open this up, copy this. You can either hit it from here or you can open the Postman and then hit it, or you can also use the browser. Anything is fine. So let me try to open this, copy this up, open the browser, and here itself I'm just going to call it. So just hit it out. You can see that test request is handled by the instance running on the port number 8081. Now the second time when the request come, it goes to the port number 8082, and third time when the request come, it goes to the port number 8083. Now for the fourth time if you will try, it will go again to the 8081. So this is how the load balancing is done. If like there are so many requests coming, all the requests would be evenly distributed across the different instances. Okay, so this is how you can implement the load balancing in your Spring Boot application. Now this is the concept that we have covered. Okay, this is how the load balancing works. Now if you want the real implementation of the load balancing, then you can use the Spring Cloud Gateway, and you can with the help of that you can implement the load balancing in your application. If you want me to do that, let me know. I will create a separate video on this topic. Here we only saw how we can implement the load balancing concept. So this is about the video, guys. If you like the video, please hit the like button and please subscribe the channel for more such content. Thanks.